Hello everyone. Today I will be covering DDL and DML statements for you. So what is DDL and DML statements? Okay, let me start the class first. Okay, let me connect to the server first. It will be a bit of theoretical topics, but I'm not going to uh, means only say the theoretical definitions. I will be also giving some of the practical things. What is DDL and what is DML? It is a common topic in the interviews as well, in your workplace as well. What is DDL and DML? People will frequently just say these names, these abbreviations, DDL and DML. So DDL means data definition language. Whatever we will be learning, everything will be practical. Okay, it is not like we will only learn theoretically. Everything you need to do it by your hand, then you will be feeling more confident. Okay, so DDL means data definition language and DML means data manipulation language. Okay, so what does it mean actually? So suppose imagine in your workplace or in real life, you are creating one app or one website, and it requires some of the database in the backend, because you need to store the users and their passwords, their name, their email ID. Somewhere you need to store that. So when you will be working, you will be creating one website or you will be creating one app. How can you know who are the users? Means who are the user who will be logging in into your app when it will be live, means when it will be in production, or when it will be in Google Play Store, say. So who will be logging into that? You will know, you will never come to know at the time of development, right? Because at the development you have to deal with uh, some of the bad data, or some of the data that you have created, some of the sample data. But in reality, you will never come to know who will be the real user. How many people will log into your app? How many people will be log into your website? It might be 5, it might be 5 million. So you will never come to know who will be the real users. So at that time, as per your design at the time of development, you will be doing something like, okay, for my institute binary world, say, I will be creating one table. That table, the name of that table will be student. That table will have ID. That table will have its name, student name, age, email ID. Those are the details that I'm going to have. If you are dealing with some train or some rail bookings, then you can do a table like train ID, say, and you can name train name, source, station. This will be the structure of your destination station, something like that. So these will be your table structure, but you are never going to put the actual value. Data can be anything. It can be one Amritsar Express, kind of that, or it can be Rajdhani Express. It can differ in reality. You do not know what will be the real data. Even for the student as well. Suppose I am creating one app for my for my for my institute binary world. Say at that time, you do not know who will be the first user logging into my app, or who will be the first user logging into my website. So that you do not know. So generally a developer deals with the structure only. He or she doesn't care about the number of the data. It might be million, it might be billion. In case of Facebook database, in case of Amazon, in case of Flipkart, they are going to have millions of data. And at the time of development of the Amazon app, the developer didn't know how many user will be logging into the system, how many people will order few items in that app, in that shopping app. No one knows. So developer generally deals with this structure. So any query, any code, any script that we have learned in last 2 classes, if that deals with the structure of the table, then that will be called as data definition language. If anything deals with the data, means it might be millions of data, it might be some name, say roll number 1 is Joy, say something like that. His age is say 20 age. So these type of things are, if your query deals with the data, then it will be called as DML. So as an example, so suppose you are creating this student table, or we have already created few of the tables. Let me go to that. Our database was BW, what I can remember. Yeah. So suppose, okay, sorry, I have already created the table. So let me check the table. Or whenever you will be working in a workplace, suppose in a job, your boss come and they will only give, they are only going to tell you, okay, you will be having a student table, you will be having a table called syllabus, you will be having a table as teachers. So now you need to create the app. And syllabus, you are going to have something like SID, syllabus ID for class, for which class the syllabus is, description. So there will be something like that. In teacher, there will be something teacher ID and teacher name, something like that. So they will never going to tell you what are the data. So in this case, suppose there is a requirement as such. So you need to create the table syllabus, because students tables are already there. If you can check, student table is already there. So you need to create a syllabus. So if you are creating this structure, means you need to write create syllabus, SID int, class varchar 10, something like that. So that create statements, if you are dealing with the structure, you are creating that structure. So create statements come under DDL. Okay, or let me write it below. You are creating the structure, that means create is DDL. Suppose you are inserting the data. It is not changing the details of the student table. I can insert some more records here. I have 10 records, I can insert the 11th one, but it is not changing the structure of the table. That's why it is dealing with only the data. It is DML. So suppose if I want to delete some record, so that is DML, because deleting a record is just deleting the data. It is not changing the structure of the student table. So for the time being, deal with the student table. Let me change this. What else? If I can delete the full set of data, delete everything from the table, still the structure exists. So I will give the example in practical way for all of them. But for first of all, just see what is DDL and what is DML. Suppose you are changing now, you are dropping the table. You are just going to drop the table. So it is DDL, because table doesn't exist after that. If you are, suppose if you are trying to insert a new column called gender. We have gender. Yeah, we have gender. Suppose I am going to insert a new column that is email ID. So this email ID is basically you are adding something into the structure. So to do that, we have to use alter statement. So that is DDL. Okay, so these are the examples of DDL and these are the examples of DML. So today we will check all of them. So let me start. Suppose when I was in college, there was the mail ID was not mandatory. Believe me or not, I didn't have my mail ID till my second year. So in the third year, our teacher told us that, okay, you need to have one mail ID where we are going to send you some of the details for the company interviews and all. So at that time, who was the developer? I don't know who was that. So the developer of our college database need to add one extra column. That column, say email ID. So how can I do that? Because in this table, we do not have anything like that email ID. So to add a new column, you need to do alter the table, alter table student. And you need to write something like add email ID. Let it be like varchar 100. Email ID say cannot exceed 100 characters. So if I execute this query, and now let me run the statement once again, look, a new email ID is being created. So these alter statements is a DDL statement because it is changing the structure of the table. It is not dealing with the data. All of the data is currently none. Now I want to put some data inside. So that will be something related to DML. So how can I put some data inside? This is update. If you write something update student, the syntax you have to remember, or after a few classes you can also remember that, because if you can see for the whatever we have learned in first 2 classes, that you are comfortable now, what I feel so. And this new commands will also be, you will be feeling free as well after a few classes. So don't worry on that. These codes are always available in Google. So just you need to understand the logic. Everything is available in Google. Just you need to understand the logic. Then you will feel comfortable into that. So alter statements is what it's doing. It is basically adding one extra column. Update statement is basically helping to insert the data inside. So in this null column, I'm trying to put something. So you have to mention like update, table name, and you have to write set email ID equals to, say, as it is varchar, I need to use the code. I can write something called, let me give a real mail ID of mine. So you can also contact me using that mail ID. If you feel any difficulties, you can also use the comment box as well. If you can feel, if you feel any difficulties with these commands, obviously, but first you have to do it by yourself. Okay. So set email ID like that. If I execute that, this email ID will be inserted for each of the data. Look, for each of the data, this email ID has been inserted. Anyhow, update is basically handling the data. It is not changing the structure. So update will be treated as a DML statement. Let me write that here. Update will be treated as a DML statement. Okay. But this type of query is not correct. I do not want to update for all. So what can I do? I can use this update statements for specific records. Say, let me copy this. Update student set email ID equals to, say I want to update abcd@gmail.com for the roll number 1, that is George, say, where roll equals to 1. So abcd@gmail.com will be updated for George only. Let me take a look. Look, for George, it is abcd@gmail.com. Suppose for Krish, I want to update that in an order like Krish 1, 2, 3, 4, and for roll 2. So let me update that. Accordingly, you can update this for all set of data. I'm not doing that. It will take much time, but I guess you got the idea how to handle or how to update the data. Even you can update the data from the existing table as well. In the similar way, suppose I want to update the marks of Krish and I want to reduce it to 30, say. So what can I do for the existing data? I can simply write update the table name and marks equals to 30. Okay. Okay, sorry, I missed the set statement. Yeah, set marks equals to 30, or you can give 30.05, anything, where roll equals to 2. Okay, so let me update that and let me check the data once again. Student. So you can do whatever you want in your database. It will not cost anything. You can try yourself. Okay, look, the marks of Krish reduced to 30.05. Even you can update multiple fields like marks 30.05, and you also want to change the age of someone. Suppose age equals to, I want to update the data for Michael. Say I want to update the data of Michael to 18 and marks into 45. Say 45, let it be. So for roll 3, I want to make these 2 changes. Marks should be 45. Currently it is 75, and age is 18. Currently it is 19. Okay, let me run that. So 2 things updated. Two fields are updated for Michael. If you check, it is 18 and 45. Okay. You can change the data for multiple records as well. Suppose for Jerry and Jacob, so roll number 4 and roll number 5, I can use something like roll in 4 and 5. I want to change the data for both of them. So for both Jerry and Jacob, I want to update them as whatever their marks is, I can update marks plus 5. I want to update it, and whatever their age is, age minus 1. See, the age will be current age minus 1 and marks will be marks plus 5. You can also do that. And I am doing this for both of the rules. So I am trying to show you all the aspects of the update statement so that you should feel comfortable with all the update statements. So let me run this query. Okay, so I didn't check what was earlier. So if you update the data or if you delete the data once from the database, you will never, there is no way to roll back to the previous data. There is one rollback statement, but that works with the transaction only. I'm not going to tell you what is transaction for the time being, but yeah, just keep it as an information. If you update or delete some data from the database, it is never going to come again. Okay, so that's the thing. So anyway, Jerry and Jacob both has been, the age has been reduced by 1 and the marks was incremented by 5. So that you can do. So if you can do with 2 columns, obviously you can do with for the all of the columns. If you can do with multiple rows, then you can do it for all of the rows, or for any number of rows you can do it. Okay, so that is the update statement, and update statement is a DML one. Now, what happened if I want to delete some record? Suppose I want to delete the record of Anshul, say. So let me delete the record. If I write delete from student, this will delete the entire table. So I'm not going to do that, but rather let me do one thing. First, let me create a table. Probably I have already told you how to create this table. Let me create a backup of this table, say student backup table. Select start into student backup. I have already told you, I guess, in the last class how to create that. So I am creating one separate table. I'm not going to change anything from the existing table. So this student backup table is created. Let me check that. Yeah. So if I run this table, the same set of data, if I delete a particular record from this table, so I need to mention delete from the table where roll equals to 10. So what does it mean? It means if I delete the data, it will be deleting the data for roll number 10. Simple as it is. Okay, so look, we have only 9 records now. Okay, but if you do not use the where statement, and if you just delete the full set of data, just do not need to mention where, and it will be deleting everything. So now if I take a look into the table, it is empty, nothing is there. So be cautious whenever you will be using those queries in your real time, in your office, anywhere you can use that. So just be careful. If you delete the data, it is never going to come back. Okay, or even if you update something, it is never going to come back. But it doesn't destroy the structure, or it doesn't change the structure of the table. That's why delete comes under DML. Same for delete all. So there is no other statement like delete all. Delete does everything for you. Okay, so delete, insert, updates are the DML. Now I will take a look into alter. What else I can do with the alter? So let me go back to my original table, that is student. So if you want to see the structure of the table, of any table, you just need to select the table, just click on Alt F and F1. Sometimes it will just behave weird. So better to use Alt Fn and F1 as per the setting of your table, of your Windows. Okay, as per the setting of your Windows, you can make it. So generally it is Alt F1, sometimes it is Alt function and F1. Okay, so let me write that. If you have to paste together Alt and F1, these two keys. Okay, means not plus Alt and F1. Sometimes it is Alt. In my setting, it is Alt Fn and F1. If you select the table and click this, it will be the metadata of the table. What is metadata now? Everyone knows it is in database. Metadata is something called, in short, data about data. It is known by everyone. But what is data of data? What is data of data? Data of data means your table, student table, is basically holding some data. And what is the description of that data? That is being mentioned here. So roll number is an int data type. We have already created that. Length 4. I'm not going to describe this as of now. I will describe that later. Nullable, yes, you can put null values here. I will show that as well. And some details as well. Everything has been written here. So it is being created on 27th of October 2021. There is no such identity column and such information. So you do not need to take a look into that. But I will describe everything later, but not now. So this is the data of data. So now if you take a look on the email ID, it is varchar and it is having a length of 100. Okay, so I want to change that structure. I want to change the structure. I want to make email ID as 50. Okay, varchar 50. So what should I do? Let me copy the previous alter statement. This alter statement means by using alter statement, you can add something. By using alter, you can add a column. You can drop a column, means you can delete the column, and you can alter the column as well. Alter the column means, suppose like this situation, I want to change the data type of the column from varchar 100 to varchar 50. So I can do that. Let me do that. So alter table student. So now I will not add something. I will alter column email ID to varchar 50. So if I run that, it will alter the column. So now if I press Alt F1, so it will be, look, email ID structure is now 50. This metadata never going to show you the data inside. Rather, it will show the structure only. So I have changed the structure a bit. So it is varchar 50. You can change anything. You can change the role from integer to varchar. You can change anything. But yeah, reverse is not true. You cannot change varchar to int because it will be giving you a message like the data inside is holding some name. How can I change that into integer? But in empty table, you can do that from varchar to int. You can try it in your machine. If you face any difficulty, you can reach out to me, obviously. So anyway, so this is the way how we can change the structure of a column. Even I can do another thing. Let me copy this once again. So it is something like drop email ID. Drop. I think column should be used or not. Let me try. If I execute this, okay, no, the structure is wrong. The syntax is wrong. It is drop column email ID. If I execute that, it is, look, it is being executed. Let me take a look into the table. Email ID should not be there anymore. So we do not have any email ID here. So first we have inserted a new column called email ID. After that, I change that email ID, the structure of the email ID or the data type or the length, you can say. And after that, at last, I have dropped the email ID. So everything deals with the DDL because everything is, I'm dealing with the structure of the table. So alter statements means DDL. Okay. Last, not the least, there is another thing called truncate. So what is truncate? Truncate also clears the table. It just remove all the data from the table. So if I create another backup table, okay, let me write the query once again. Select star from Select start from student. Let me create two tables into say SB1, student backup 1, and let me create another table SB2. So it is a common question in interview rounds, like what is the difference between delete and truncate? I mean, delete all and truncate. What does it mean? So let me check the difference. First, let me check the similarity. Then we can feel more comfortable why people are asking for the difference for delete and truncate. They are not asking the difference between drop and truncate. So first, we need to check the similarity. So let me create both of the tables from the students. Yeah, both has been created. So I can write something, select start from. Okay, I can do another thing. It is a trick basically. If you click on Shift and Alt, and if you go below the arrow down, look, 3 cursors has been blinking. So you can write 3 queries together. Okay, so you can write something like this. Okay, so 3 queries together, but it is a trick, nothing related to this DDL and DML statements. So anyway, so sometimes we use that. So that's why I told you. Anyway, so you can try that. If not, you can reach out to me over the comment box. Anyway, so SB1 and SB2, we have 2 tables now. Look, we have 2 tables with full set of data. So now for one table, I will delete the data, delete from SB1. And from another table, I will just truncate the table. What does it mean? So let me execute both of them. Yep. So now, if I run this table, if I want to see the data inside, both the table is empty. Both the things are doing the similar activity. It is just clears out the table. All the data has been cleared out. So what is the difference between these 2 statements? There must be some difference. So what truncate does, truncate basically drop the table and create it back. Drop the table means if you drop one table, suppose I want to drop previously created table student backup. I guess I have created that table. Let me take a look. Start from student backup. I guess so. This was the table name. Yeah, this was the table name. So I can drop it. Drop means just destroy the table. Let me execute. The table has been dropped. So if I run this query again, it is saying invalid object name student backup. So drop is a DDL statement. Look, because you are deleting the structure itself. You are removing everything, even the structure. So the drop is a DDL statement. So now what is being done by these 2 statements? Delete is basically deleting the data, and truncate is basically dropping the table and create it back. So I'm repeating, it is dropping the table, student table, SB2 table, and it is creating it back. So that is the truncate. So truncate means truncate is a DDL statement. So in Google, if you search the difference between DDL and DML statements, you will find many options, many points. So in one of the point, it must be DDL is a truncate and delete is a DML. Sorry, truncate is DDL and delete is DML. So what does it mean? Truncate basically drop the table and create it back. So as I promised, I will not give you the theoretical lecture. So I will show that practically. What does it mean even? So I am creating one table called what can I give the name? Suppose train table. Train table with TID. TID, I will make one small change in this TID table. I will make it identity. So what does it mean? I will explain later. Okay. So I will give some T name, the train name, say varchar 100, say train name. I can give something like source station, varchar 50, say, and the destination station. And is also varchar 50. So If I run this table, it is being created, trend table. So as this field is named as identity, you do not need to insert the value for this field explicitly. What does it mean? If I write, and I will always tell you to practice all those syntaxes by yourself in your machine. Okay. So I do not need to write train ID explicitly. Do not need to give anything here. Just mention, just start with the T name. Just start with from this column. Do not need to mention this. Identity means it will be automatically inserted. So let me give something like Amritsar Express. See, I do not know much about the trains. So, but still, let it be the source station be Howrah, or Kolkata, let it be. And the destination station, say Amritsar itself. Same, let me give the second input. It will be say Rajdhani Express. And the starting is from Delhi, suppose, and ending is in Mumbai, say. Do not mind if I write anything wrong, but suppose this is a database, you have to insert the data. So, okay, some problem in the syntax, it is saying. Okay, I have missed the syntax values. So you have to mention values. So this is a part of the syntax, nothing important. So you have to mention like insert into train values. Yeah, you already know that. Okay, so 2 rows affected. Let me check the table now. See, let's start from train. So look, the first data will be inserted as TID1. The second data will be inserted as a TID2. So that is being inserted automatically. If I insert another record, that will be going to insert it with TID3 automatically. So now, if I delete something, delete all the data from the table. Delete all the data from the table. So now the table is empty. I have deleted the data. Now I want to insert a third record. That is Chennai Express, say. And it is starting from, say, Mumbai and going towards to Chennai, say. If I insert this data will be inserted as TID3 because we have already inserted 2 of them and deleted. So this record will be carry on the series. So until 2 we have inserted already. So this new record will be inserted as TID3. Okay, got the idea? Because we have deleted the data only. I have not changed the structure. So now let me insert this. Let me, what can I do? Let me truncate the table now. We have 1 data with 3. Okay, now I will be truncate the data table. Truncate table trend. If I truncate the table, and now let me check if there is any such data or not. No, the table is empty. Now let me insert some other values like what can I give? What can I suppose something like Hyderabad Express. Say I do not know much about the trains, but still let it be from Hyderabad to Chennai. Say. So if I run this query, now let me check. It will be starting from back 1. It will never be inserted with row 4. Why? Because whenever you are truncating something, truncating some table, it is basically destroying the table and creating it back. So creating it back means this identity column will be started from 1 once again. Okay, it will never hold the previous value because it was dropped out and created back. So it will start from 1 once again. So that is the difference between truncate and delete. If interviewer or in your workplace or in your syllabus, if anyone asks what is the difference between delete and truncate, you can present this total scenario in a summarized way, and they will be impressed. Okay, they will be impressed. Rather, if you only say delete is a DDL and delete is a DML and truncate is DDL, that is not going to make effect on the interviewer. So it will be good if you explain this and he will be convinced. Let's take 2 minutes or 3 minutes to explain this. Just tell them, okay, I am going to insert some value using identity. So now if I truncate the table, the identity, the seed, this is being called as a seed. So identity, the starting value or the seed value will go back to 1 once again. And if I delete the thing, it will be carry on the series. Means it will whatever until which value I have inserted, it will start from there. Okay, or start from the following value of that series. Okay, so this is the examples you can give, or this is the best way to deal with this type of questions going for the practical examples. Okay, so I hope this part is clear. So let me create another table called train2 this time. Another table train2. So let me tell you about few lines about identity. So by default, identity means either you can just mention identity. We have already created one table, or you can mention this thing. 1, 1 means it will be start with 1, means the seed value equals to 1, and increment value will be also 1. Okay, but you can do some modifications here. You can do like 105. That means the starting value will be 100 and the next value will be 105. Next value will be 110. Let me do that. Let me do that practically. Okay, the train2 has been inserted. Let me insert all these value into train2 now. Let me insert all those values into train2. Okay, so where is the select star from train2? If I execute that, look, the first train is 100 ID, second one is 105, next one is 110, and the last one is 115. So this is the seed is 100 and incremented value is 5. Okay, so for this table, seed value is 100 and incremented value is 5. I can take a look into the metadata of the table as well. If I click on Alt F1. So look, now here in identity, it is written TID is 100, seed value is 100, and incremented value is 5. And you can see in TID, currently nullable is no, because you cannot avoid inserting value into this field. You have to insert something. So it cannot be null. So it is saying no, I cannot be null. But for this value, this can be null. These are the normals. I will explain all of them gradually. No need to hurry, because we are not covering any syllabus. We are not covering anything. It is just a knowledge sharing purpose. So I will cover all of them later. Okay. So, but I hope identity field, the use of identity field is now clear. So that is something related to DDL and DML. And what else I can do? Okay, I can also for the last few examples, like I can also insert some values. As I can see, these fields can be nullable. So I can use selective value to the train2. Like what I'm trying to mean, I can also give something like tname. I can insert values for tname and source. I do not know the destination, source station. So suppose it is some express like, what can I give? The Hill Express, say, and it is starting from Darjeeling, one important hill station in West Bengal in my place. So Darjeeling to 9, I don't know from to where. So it is something like tname. I am giving tname and source station. You just need to mention these two fields, and I can execute that. So one row affected. If I take a look in the train2 table, so basically it is giving a null value. Okay, so all those fields can be null, but you cannot put a null in this TID field. So that is already being displayed as a metadata. So you can you can try to insert the data accordingly. Okay, you can only mention 2 of the fields and where you need to insert the data. You do not need to write all of them, destination, station, and all. Just keep that from the insert statement. You just need to mention some values. Okay, where is that? Where is that? Yeah, like this. You can also insert the data in some other way, like I have a train table now. Let's start from train. Let me check if I have any data there or not. Yeah, I have one data. So I can do something like and select star from train 2 as well. As the structure of both the table is same, I can write something insert into train. That's all. That's all. Just execute that. All the data will be inserted. Okay, train table. An explicit value for the identity column in the train can only be specified. Okay, train table is currently having the identity data. So let me delete everything from the train table because it is trying to create the duplicate. Now let me try because it has some data with 4. Okay, train can be specified. Okay, it is well, okay. Let me handle this one as well. It is saying an explicit value of the identity column in the table train can only be specified when a column list is used. So I cannot insert the value for the train ID field. So what should I do? Insert into train. I can write something like name explicitly. All the column name I can write source station, I guess, and destination. Name destination station. So into because I was trying to insert the data into the TID field as well, but it is an identity. It will be automatically filled up. I forgot that. So insert into the columns and select the same column from the train 2 table. Let me do that. Yeah. If I do that, look, 5 rows affected. So now if I take a look into train table, not train 2, I am selecting train table only. I'm not selecting the 2. Okay. So in the train table, we have the data. Look, and it is identical. Seed is 1 and increment value is 1. Okay. So this is the way how can you insert a data from one table to another. I can do that simply as I have identity field. That's why it is being complicated. I can also do something like into student backup table because I do not have any. Okay, what was the name of the table? SB1, I guess. Yeah, SB1 and SB2. I can put the data into SB1, select star from. As the structure of both the tables are same, that's why I'll be able to do that. So I do not have any identity column. I can simply write an insert statement and select from other table. So I am selecting the data from student table. I'm trying to insert that into SB1. That's all. As this table, train table has the identity column, so I need to mention the fields explicitly because I cannot insert the data into TID. So we have learned 3 things today. For the insert statement, apart from this DDL and DML, we can insert some raw values into some tables. Table, suppose train. I can write something like this. Insert into train values so and so. We are pretty familiar with this thing. We can also use a insert statements like this. Insert into train and select star from some other table, other train or train 2. Kind of that we can do. We can also do things like insert into train. We can choose some selected fields like name and source station. We can do things like this way. We want to insert data into only these 2 fields, also values and some raw data. We can also insert the data in a way like select star into train backup, say from train. Okay, so this is our DDL statement because it is creating the table in one shot. It is creating the table and inserting the data. So it is DDL and DML both. And here it is DML, here it is DML, here it is DML. Why? Because you have to create the table in prior. Means train table should be created in that case. Here as well, train table should be created. Here as well, train table should be created. But here, train backup table, there is no necessary to create it on prior. You can run this query. It will create the table and insert the data. We have already used that couple of times. In last class, even I have used the same in this class for SB1 and SB2. Okay. So that's all for the day, I guess. If I am missing anything, let me find out. Let me think. No. If we are done, you can go to this binary world computer science. You can go there, and in the media, you can find some albums like SQL exercise basic. You can go to that. And SQL exercise basic, you will be having a chapter 3 called DDL and DML statements. You can go through this chapter, this exercise. Okay, if you feel that if I am missing anything or I need to cover some more topics, you can send me some mail. You can mention that in comment box. Okay, but my intention is to cover everything related to SQL Server one by one, obviously. Okay, so that's all for the day. Bye. Next class will be on group by, I hope. Let's see. Till then, bye.